Hello again, I am Blunty. Want some hints and tips on tech and attitude to make things more pleasant when you're forced to work from home because of current global circumstances and stop it being a horrible dystopian nightmare where work life and home life bleed together in an uncontrollable soup of misery? Well, welcome. I have brain thoughts to share with you to make all of that much more pleasant. Now this is also a sponsored video. ModMike asked me to share my thoughts and ideas about working from home, being an YouTuber who has spent a great many years, in fact about a decade and a half, working from home. So I have a wealth of knowledge and experience to share on this matter. There is of course that concern of a sponsorship and sort of product promotion being tied into a sort of a global health emergency and sort of the morality of all that. It could certainly be what we would call problematic if handled poorly. I'm very much hoping that my reputation for having a no BS attitude will cut right through that, along with the fact that the sponsored products that I'm going to be talking about later in the video are in fact products I personally use and recommend anyway, and it's a product that will benefit everybody and not just you. So it's about community. We okay with that? So I'm going to hit you with a fistful of top tech and personal tips about working from home, how to make it more pleasant, how to make it more effective, and then we're going to swing all the way back around to a sponsor. I'm going to hit you with the big one that's for everybody. If you find them useful, I would very much appreciate you taking a moment to subscribe, ring the bell, thumb up, leave a comment. In fact, leave a comment about any hints and tips that I didn't cover here, especially if you're a parent, by the way. I am not a parent. I don't know how to handle kids when they're trapped inside with you. If you've got any tips about that, share them down below. I'm sure they will be appreciated very largely. Now, if you are curious and perhaps confused, even distracted by the fact that I'm switching between two different looking cameras on basically the same angle, we are going to circle back to that, I promise. But first, some tips about routines to make sure you can get your work done. Set and keep a routine. Keep office hours, essentially. Do not start work in your PJs. Do not start work before you've had a shower and done your regular morning routine that you would do before you head out into the world for work as per normal. It makes a subtle but significant difference to how you feel, your attitude. If you keep that routine, you get up, you have your shower, you brush your teeth, you comb your hair, you put on some fresh, nice clothes, and even if you're not leaving the house, you set up in your workspace and you go to work. It makes a mental difference in how focused you are when you get go. Take it from me. If you skip that, if you feel lazy, if you get up and sit down in your PJs, you haven't showered, your hair's all over the place, you've still got sleep in your eyes, it's much more difficult to get flowing into the work. To go along with that, carve out a dedicated workspace. Don't try and work from your couch. If you can avoid it, don't work from the kitchen table. Carve out a separate area. Set it up somewhere where you can isolate yourself from the rest of the family and housemates and pets and all those kind of distractions. You want to be focused on what you're doing. I know you might like the people you live with and you might love your pets, but trust me on this, if you just set yourself up in a dedicated area, so when you are sitting in that area, that is work time. You must do whatever you can to separate work time from home time, because if those things start to bleed together, you're going to lose control of the situation. Your work productivity is going to sort of dribble away and your home life is going to suffer. Set a timer on your phone or whatever for break time. Take regular breaks every couple of hours or so. Get up, leave your work area, go stare out a window, go talk to your family, go pet your, play with your pets. Just get up and leave the work area. Whatever you do, do not take your break by staying in your work area and just switching to YouTube or social media or something like that, because that, again, when you start bleeding those lines together between casual and work, pleasure and work, it makes things much more difficult when you are trying to work from home and stay focused. Video calls, and here we are back to the dual cameras. Hi. And this is of course why I've got the two different camera angles set up to demonstrate something for you here. I, as a professional YouTuber, content creator, streamer, have a proper, really nice camera setup. That's a real camera setting up there, HDMI output into a special little dongle device called a cam cap that makes my computer think that this camera is actually a web camera and treats it like a web camera. It makes life really easy to get a really nice, high quality, fancy looking camera image. But you don't need that for video conferencing. Don't bother with it. I mean, unless you have a camera spare and the cam cap and whatever, don't bother with it. Any regular web camera will do. This is a relatively nice web camera. It's the Logitech C920. It's been the web camera of choice for many YouTubers and streamers for many, many years. And it's really quite nice. But any web camera will work better when you light it correctly. See, to compensate for the low light, the web camera has dropped its quality. It's getting quite grainy, the frame rate's gone down. This is not a huge problem, but it can be quite distracting. So even just a simple little desk light, and this is not the right angle for it, but this is like a $20 thing from Amazon, can make a huge difference into the quality of your web camera. And that, of course, is doubly true when it comes to the web cameras built into laptops, which are never good, ever. The best you can ever hope for is adequate. I'll put some links in the down below area for various mounts and lighting options and sort of things like that that I've personally used in the past and can recommend. If you're going to be working from home from any length of time, definitely invest in some quality tech. If you don't use your computer a lot at home, it's just casual, you're surfing on the couch or something like that, you know, who cares? You're fine with whatever you've been using, obviously. But if you're going to be sitting down and working through an entire workday, you definitely want to invest in quality accessory gear. I'm talking keyboards and mouse pads. Get yourself a nice keyboard that's pleasant to type on for extended periods of time. For keyboards, you want to look for a mechanical switch keyboard. They tend to feel a lot better and they tend to last a lot longer, by the way. There are a few different varieties you can get, sort of very clickety-clackety ones that sound like, you know, an old school typewriter, all the way to sort of very quiet ones and sort of somewhere in between. I like the somewhere in between. It's got a nice physicality to it, but isn't too noisy. And again, if you're going to be doing video calls and things like that, you might want a quieter side of keyboard. So I've linked a few options in the down below of keyboards that I, again, personally use and recommend. Laptops are by far and away the most popular choice for people, especially non-gamers who just want a computer in their home. They're small, easy, simple. You don't need a huge space for them. But when you're working from home, there are a few things you want to think about when you're using the laptop for work. Number one is, again, get a keyboard, get a mouse pad, and you want to elevate your laptop up. So don't use the keyboard on the laptop. They're not normally that great. Touchpads are not that great for all day long use. So just for ergonomics, get yourself a mouse and keyboard, get yourself a nice mouse mat as well, so it feels nice when you're using it. That helps reduce strain and fatigue and things like that. And also elevate your laptop. Get your screen up to eye level. So you're not doing this. It's very bad for your neck and back and shoulders if you're looking down at your laptop all day long. That's why we have monitors that are able to rise up to eye level. So definitely elevate your laptop, connect a keyboard and mouse to it for better ergonomics and more comfort. It's going to be much more pleasurable. You don't have to get a special laptop stand. You can just put it on some boxes. That's what I've done from time to time. But please, if you take none of the other advice in this video, please, if you're working from a laptop, take that advice. It makes a huge difference. Please trust me. Self-discipline is very important. Stay off, Twitter and Facebook and meme sites or whatever you do, because it's very easy to get lost in those, get distracted by those, going back and forth between work and those, and you lose productivity quicker than you will believe, because there's no one standing over your shoulder. The boss isn't at risk of walking by any second and go, hey, what are you doing on Facebook? Shouldn't you be working? So it's very easy to fall into a habit of spending longer and longer and longer getting distracted by that stuff. So self-discipline. Do not use social media in your, save that for your break. Again, leave your work area on your break, then you get on your phone, social media, come back to your work area, forget it exists, get on with your work. Now, finally, for the sponsor-related stuff, mod mics. You've been hearing me all video long on this microphone. I've got this microphone here to demonstrate just how bad headset microphones can sound and why you want an accessory microphone. Because if you're on video calls or even just voice calls, if you're just in a voice call meeting, I've done this a lot over the last couple of weeks, because when I have briefings for product launches and stuff, once upon a time we would all go to a meeting room in a hotel or something that would demonstrate the products for us. But of course, with the self-isolation thing, the last couple of briefings I've had have been voice calls, and it has reminded me just how bad some microphones are. And I'm sure whether or not you work from home every now and again or habitually, you've been on voice calls with people using terrible audio quality. Like, for example, you're listening to me on the built-in microphone on the web camera right now, which is very common for people to do, or the built-in microphone on their laptop, which is often even worse. Never good. Ever. Or indeed the standard microphone on most headsets. They also sound terrible by and large. And again, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is about other people, not about you. You don't have to listen to you through your microphone. Everyone else does. So in the spirit of self-isolation, that's where getting a good microphone comes in, because you're trying to make life more pleasant for other people. So when it comes to microphones, you've got a couple of options. Obviously, headset-mounted stuff and desktop-mounted stuff. I, as a professional content creator, have gone the extra mile. This is a very high-quality mic, a few $100s worth. I've got it on a boom arm. You don't need that in the same way that you don't need the fancy camera. And quite frankly, most of you are going to be better off with some form of headset mic anyway, because to use a mic like this, you want good microphone technique. You want to maintain a good distance from it. They're a little bit more tricky to set up to get them sounding right. You want a boom arm, because if you put it directly on the desk, very often when you're typing or you're putting your hands on the desk or put your coffee cup down, all that vibration goes right up through the microphone. There's a nice example of terrible audio. There's a street sweeper going by. Headset mic, much easier. It's always a consistent distance away from your face. You can move around, you can get up and get stuff. You can lean back on your chair. You're always going to sound nice and consistent, volume-wise and quality-wise. But most headsets on mics sound like crap. There are a few exceptions, but not many. And of course, because we are dealing with, sending data back and forth across the internet, a lot of applications that do video and or audio chat use very low bandwidth to make it as accessible as possible to as many people as possible, because not everyone has the best possible internet. And they also use high compression. Those two things together tend to ruin audio quality. So if you start out with a microphone that sounds like absolute crud, it's going to sound much worse on the other end. If you start out with a microphone that sounds good, it's still going to sound worse on the other end, but it's going to be much, much more listenable. So ModMic, the sponsor of today's video, saw this problem and solved it. They have 3 different products to choose from, and all 3 of them can connect to basically whatever headset you like. They do this via a little magnetic puck that you stick under your headset, and then you can sort of attach the microphone directly to it. I'm going to mute this because it's going to make a bit of a noise when I attach it, but oh. The first of their 3 options is the one you've been listening to me on all throughout the video. This is the ModMic Wireless. I like this because, well, it's wireless. I don't like having cables dragged across me. But of course, the limitation of wireless is you're limited by battery life. In the case of this thing, it's up to 12 hours on a use case cycle of sort of 4 to 6 hours per day, which should be fine for most people. Unless you're on voice calls all day, every day, this is still a very good option. And you do have to remember to plug it in overnight to make sure it's charged for the next day. Some of us are better about remembering that stuff than others. The other 2 options are both wired options. You've got the ModMic USB and the ModMic Uni. The ModMic USB, as you might imagine, plugs in directly via USB, and it has slightly higher quality than the ModMic Uni, which is their base model. The ModMic Uni, they are going to be selling with a USB accessory in a kit as well, and I do recommend, if you pick that one up, and that is the cheapest way in, by the way, definitely pick it up with the USB adapter, because quite a lot of laptops out there, and again, most people are using laptops in their home, if they're not sort of a very dedicated nerd or a gamer. Even a lot of gamers use laptops these days, but laptops are certainly the broader choice. But a lot of companies skimp on the audio quality in laptops because they figure anyone who's going to use or want serious audio quality are going to use external devices anyway. And because of the way laptops are designed, you can often get interference because they're all crammed in very small, all these components together. You can often get audio interference and humming and buzzing and things like that. So using USB bypasses all of that. You don't use the onboard audio decoding of the laptop, which manufacturer may or may not have skimped on. Instead, you're using ModMic's dedicated and custom designed USB DAC. And DAC is digital analog converter, so it takes analog sound, makes it digital. So any of those 3 options are highly recommended and are, frankly, sponsored video or not, I have long been calling them the absolute best accessory head-mounted microphone you can get. No one else I've ever tried, no other headset with a built-in microphone, no combination of equipment has ever sounded as good or as reliably good as the ModMic stuff. They do this one thing and they do it really well. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for those of you who have contributed to tips in the down below area. Again, thank you especially to the parents. I have no experience in dealing with kids while I'm trying to work from home. But yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for any additional advice you've been giving other people. We have to come together as a community. As a community, by the way, help me fight against the algorithm on YouTube and make sure you subscribe, bell, thumb up, all this stuff. And thank you to ModMic for the money you're going to be paying me for making this video.